Good morning, friends. Welcome to The Point. I hope these videos are proving beneficial to you in understanding the economic concepts. Talking about the today's topic, that is annual financial statements. I bet that all of you know about this topic, but with a different name. So, friends, annual financial statement is none other than budget that we all know that is laid in the parliament every year by the finance minister of the country. So, we'll start with the top. Annual financial statements is a document presented in the parliament in every financial year as a part of the budget process. Now, what all we know is that the budget is laid. We commonly talk in the terms like the budget is being laid down in the parliament in the month of February. So, if you all know that the budget word is nowhere mentioned in the Indian constitution. The word which is mentioned over there is annual financial statement that comes under article 112 of the Indian constitution, and this word budget is nowhere mentioned. Also, friends, I would like to tell you one thing, that budget is entirely a process. It's just not mere document that is presented. It is the total process, and it comprises of various other documents, and one of which is annual financial statement. It is a statement of the estimated receipts and expenditures. So what is included in the annual financial statements? It is the estimated receipts and expenditure that the government think that they have incurred. And which period does it pertain to? It pertains to the financial year that starts from April 1 and ends at 31st March next year. Though normally called as budget, the word budget is nowhere mentioned in our Indian constitution. Now this point is very important, and you need to know this, that the word that is mentioned is annual financial statements. Moving on to the next slide, which talks about what does annual financial statement include. The first thing that forms a part of AFS is it includes estimation of the receipts that the government have accrued. So now receipts are of two types. First is revenue and the capital. What are revenue receipts and capital receipts? I have discussed it in a separate video, and the difference between them is also discussed over there. You can please refer to the video if you need more clarity over it. Then once the estimation for receipts have been made, then the estimation for expenditure is made. Okay, after this is done, it also includes the details of the actual receipts and expenditure incurred by the government. Now after that, loss or surplus is calculated. How it is calculated? Once the estimations are made, then the actual ones are deducted from it, and there comes the surplus and loss for the year. And the last one is the economic policy, the tax proposals, that is the different slabs being recommended by the government, the schemes that it plans to run. So all of this forms the part of annual financial statements. So friends, one thing I would like to tell you over here is that it is not said that it is India's budget. So budget usually pertains to the government, that Modi government's budget or Congress budget, because every government has its own plan and objectives during their tenure, and accordingly they decide their budget as to how much or where do they want to allocate their money. Let's suppose Modi government is sharply focused on Make in India. They want to make India a manufacturing hub. So definitely most of the schemes will be aligned or will be focused towards making India a manufacturing hubs, providing subsidies to the manufacturing units, to the MSMEs, and making India more self-reliant. And the economic policies would be also molded in such a way. So the budget is the whole process, and it is different for every government, because every government mottos and objectives for their tenure is different. So this is all what AFS includes. Moving on to the next slide, which talks stages of the budget. So as I told you, it is the process, it is not the one document that is presented. So when the statements are presented in the parliament, it has to pass through various stages. So the first one is presentation of budget. So now the next question that should pop up in your mind is that whether the budget is present in the Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha or just the Rajya Sabha, or in a joint meeting of Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. So friends, I'll tell you that first the budget is presented in Lok Sabha. It is not that it is not presented in Rajya Sabha. It is presented there as well, but the introduction is given in Lok Sabha first, and then it is presented in Rajya Sabha by the representative of finance minister or the finance minister himself or herself. Then comes the general discussion. Once the budget is presented, it is followed by the general discussion. Now in the general discussion, mostly it is the criticizing of the budget that takes place, and it is usually done by the opposition party, and there is no technical discussion that takes place because the opposition has not read the budget as of yet. It makes the criticism on the basis of the announcement or the speech given by the finance minister. Next, when the general discussion is over, the budget session is then adjourned for 3 to 4 weeks, and then the scrutiny by the departmental related standing committees takes place. Now also the general discussion takes place in the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha as well. It is not at the joint meeting, but separately it takes place. Then comes this scrutiny. Now in this scrutiny by the departmental committees, the grants are studied very thoroughly. So every ministry every year makes a request for grants to the government. Let's suppose defense ministry comes and say, I need 2000 crore because I want to buy the new or the latest technology for defense, or maybe science and technology ministry comes up and they want some more grant for research and development. So this way every ministry forward its request for grants, which is scrutinized by departmental related standing committees. It is not that they say that they do not finally approve it, they just thoroughly scrutinize whatever demands are being made. Then after it is scrutinized, then again the budget session comes or becomes active, and there voting is done on the demand for grants made by various ministries. And then once the voting is done, the whole of the expenditure that is being decided is made the part of appropriation bill, and this appropriation bill is then forwarded to the respected President of India, and once it is passed by the President of India, it becomes the financial or finance bill of the year. So this is how the budget is passed from the 6 stages. Moving on to the next slide. Who lays the budget? Is it the Prime Minister or the President? Is it the Home Minister that lays the budget? So you should be very clear when someone asks who presents the budget. It is the Finance Minister. But who is supposed or who causes the lay of budget? It is the President of India. I would again reiterate, you don't have to get confused over here. The budget is presented by the Finance Minister, but who causes the lay of budget? It is caused by the President of the country. So as it is written here, and who is the Finance Minister of the country of late? It is I don't have to tell you now, this is something you need to know on your own. So it is Nirmala Sitharaman. Also one thing unique is what happened this year, and it happened the first time in the Indian history. And what was that? It was that the budget was first time present in a paperless form. Now what is this paperless form? It was presented by or with the medium of tab or the electronic gadget we all use. Earlier what used to happen was the budgets were present in the physical form, that is, it was printed in the paper, brought in the parliament, and then the speech was given. But it was the first time in Indian history that the paperless budget was presented. This point is very important from every exam point of view. Anywhere the question can be asked that when was the first time that the paperless budget was presented? It was in the session of 2021 budget session. Also, you need to know that before 2017 the railway budget and the general budget was separate, that the railway budget was presented first and it was followed by the general budget. But after 2017 this convention was changed. Since 2017 both the budgets, that's the rail budget and the general budget, is presented in one go only, and it is now a part of one budget, and there are no two separate budgets that exist. So friends, I hope you have got little clarity about what budget is. One thing that is very important to note here is that the word budget is nowhere mentioned. You don't have to get confused, and you have to remember the article which is mentioned in the constitution, that is article 112 of the Indian constitution. So friends, this is all for the today's video. I hope you are clear with the concept or annual financial statements, and thank you so much for your patience listening.